I'm designer Melissa Davis, and I'm here at the Allendale showroom, and I'm going to talk to you today about drapery, custom drapery, tips, tricks, how us designers address drapery with our clients. So one of the questions I always get asked by clients is, what's the jumping off point for selecting drapery? How do we know which fabric? Because there are endless possibilities. It's much like any palette in your house. Usually we're drawn to a pattern or a print, and everything kind of goes from there. So with drapery, if, for example, your favorite chair is in a really vibrant or animated print, you might want to consider doing a simpler fabric on the drapery. So when you're doing custom drapery, it's a chance for you to also tailor it to your lifestyle. Sometimes people don't realize if you have pets, furry friends that shed, sometimes long drapery panels might not be the best choice. So you might want to consider instead doing something like a Roman shade like this. This is a sheer Roman shade, but you can also do it in a solid fabric, and when it pulls up you still get complete light transfer, or opt for a fabric like this that has an inherent stain resistance. So this particular line from Allendale comes with a stain and soil protection. So even if there is anything from small dirty fingers of our children or pets, it can easily be wiped off, they can be taken down and washed. When you're measuring the windows in terms of width for how much fabric is needed, you need a lot more than you think. So the best is to do double wide. The width that you want to cover, you order twice as much width of fabric, because that gives us beautiful fullness, both when it's stacked back and when it's closed. You don't want that flat, it looks really kind of like you skimped on it. However, there are some tricks, because fabrics can be expensive. So sometimes we want to save a little money. What we do is we do 1.5, so 1.5 the width, but then we opt to do an interlining. So an interlining is what goes between the main fabric and the back lining. So it kind of sandwiches between, and what that adds is this really lush fullness, richness, and it hangs beautifully, and that also adds the luxury. When I have drapery quoted, the clients are always a bit shocked to know they have to buy the fabric and the lining and the interlining, because it all serves a very specific purpose. For example, if you're doing the bedroom, you might want to do a blackout lining. So this is a lining that completely blocks the light from coming through, which means it can look beautiful on this side, but still provides that kind of complete blackout for sleeping. And if you're in the other rooms, the living room, dining room, there are various thicknesses, densities of the just kind of plain lining. So there's still some light transfer, but what's important about this, one, it protects the drapery fabric, because these can get costly, but also in condos, this is a requirement by a lot of condos that you have a white back layer. And if you buy off-the-shelf panels, you won't get that. Another detail to consider when you're doing your custom drapery is the added layer of a sheer. The reason we do this is for daytime privacy. So basically you have this light transfer that's there throughout the day, and then you layer your drapery panels with either your blackout or light transfer on the side, and you can close that in the evening if you want full privacy. But during the day, just to have this layer where you still get a reference of what's happening outside, but people can't see in what's happening in your space. When you're selecting the hardware for custom drapery, well, I guess the first point is don't forget to pay attention to the hardware, because they come in so many finishes and styles, and this really can be that final detail that's like the jewelry in the room. Window coverings are one of the largest impact elements in the room, and often overlooked. This is as impactful as the floors you choose or the color on the walls, because it's at eye level and one of the first things you see as your eyes are drawn to the window, that light source. So it's really important to address it and to do it properly.